So, finishing off on this uh, story, some of the negative stuff about Uppsala. Well, uh, the absolutely most painful of all this stuff was what I saw happen with my children there. Um, s- well, Aaron and Shani, my two kids that grew up in Uppsala. Now, Shani, the daughter, she really didn't have much problem, and we could say like this that it was easier for the Swedes to accept a female of a different color. Uh, uh, my son Aaron, from the time he was in kindergarten, he started to get um, negative things from the kindergarten teachers. I think what it was is he reminded them of me. He was too much like me, and that the time he was in school, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, he was picked on by the children, by the teachers, and by the principals. And I tried really hard, and his mother tried really hard to protect him and to like I would go to the school, and there would be all these complaints about her, and I would go to the school as he was up, and then it turns out that okay, Aaron came home to me one day really upset, and because he was second grade, something like that. And, the kids, the teacher had uh, said to him that he han var en neger. They call him nega, nega in Swedish, and it's the same word as nigger, but it doesn't sound like nigger. It sounds like nega, and this word is in the Swedish word book or in the dictionary. It says that this is a derogatory term for somebody from Africa. Now, the teacher reinforcing this word to the class, in front of Aaron was a very negative thing. So he came to me and told me about it. So I decided to go to school and talk to the teacher about this. And her attitude was, well, that's what you are. So why should I pretend that you're something else and not call you that, not call Aaron this? And I said, well, I even took out this Swedish word book and showed her, and there was no way that an older Swedish person, especially, was going to accept that this word wasn't acceptable. It's used in their it's been used in their word in their novels and their it's so much part of their. I mean, you have to realize this is a country that was the most favored by the Germans by Nazi Germany. Uh, this this attitude that black people were less, that were Svartskilla, and that it was okay to call them. Now, I mean, like when I lived there, and I told people, well, you shouldn't call me that or something. Then it became more fun for them to call me that, and that's what they did. That's what happened to Aaron in school. So the kids were allowed to call him Nagger and enjoyed this. And if there was any conflict, of course, just like with me, he was always wrong. The kids were allowed to go up to Aaron, call him names, and hit him. He was big kid, but they could hit him as hard as they could. If he tried to defend himself whatsoever, then he would be in a lot of trouble. They would want to call the police. They want to throw him out of the school. He's not now. If you see Aaron now, he's still and always has been the kindest, nicest boy. Now he's huge, and he's going to school in Texas. He's got a basketball scholarship, and I would say that even I mean the basketball coaches there they try to ruin his self confidence. The teachers try to ruin his self confidence. It's like it was because I believed I was taught. that we are great people and that we are special. And this reflected onto him. And so they had to teach Aaron yet to log in. And it was how many hours and many times I had to go to the school or and I finally they got sick of me being at the school and more or less chased me away, uh, you know, because they didn't want me there, and they didn't want Aaron to have a defender at the school. And really, seriously, kids treated Aaron very badly. The teachers, the meetings with the principal, they wanted to get him out of the school, and he never hurt anyone. He never fought back. But just the fact that he was defiant in his way, that he would be hit and he wouldn't go down, and he wouldn't back down anyway because he was my son. Uh, you know, he remained strong and proud, but he was also wounded and has scars from this. Now, this uh, not just my personal take on this. This is something that is if you're a foreign kid growing up in this society, the society tries to impose this on you. So if you're a male, they're not going to accept you the same way they will a female. So there's black females here that have gotten over very, very well. Uh, Black males, they're a big problem with. There's very few. Unless, I mean, even, okay, there are a few. There's Eric Bibb's son, Rennie. Rennie did very well here. Uh, he's a professional dancer. I'm sure he had his hard times too, but he's also very light skinned. Aaron's very light skinned, but uh, in Uppsala, it's too small of a place to accept this difference, and he was big, very big. He was bigger than the other kids, so they felt like they had the right to call him nigger and tell him that they didn't like black people and hit him and do whatever they pretty much wanted to. And if he raised his voice at all, then he was in trouble. This was the hardest thing to watch and experience living here in this country, was to see that it wasn't just me that they had a problem with. It was also my male children, which, by the way, I have three more. But now we live in Stockholm, and it's a different relationship with the mother. So it'll be easier to fight. Where we live here so far, it's gone very good. There's a very good school. We have very good contact with the teachers. The kids are not being mobbed at all. But in Uppsala, in those days, there weren't very many black people, and so Aaron had to really suffer that, sort of paving the way for the future generation of black people to grow up there. Being a second generation black American male in Uppsala, if I thought it was hard for me, it was even harder for my son. But he still remained very sweet. But it could be very easy that he could have turned into somebody who was hateful and get in trouble with the law or whatever. But they kept trying to impose that on him. They tried to make it like he would be in trouble with the law, or that he was, because basically the society didn't accept me in Uppsala, and they weren't going to accept my son, who loved me, who was so much like me, who looked up to me and believed in what I told him. And so with his values, they sort of had to try to strip those away. They weren't able to do that, and he went to the United States, lives there, now has been living there for 2 years, and is doing very well. I'm extremely proud of him. He's remained such a sweet boy after everything he's went through. And that means that even when he went back, he had to go through the culture shock of being in America and